Listen, baby, we're going to set a lot of people free today, okay? Listen, there is no space to second guess yourself. See, when you second guess yourself, you put yourself in a position to let other people rule over you. You put yourself in a position for other people to tell you what you're deserving of. You put yourself in a position to let other people tell you how much you should take of their bullshit. Like, you have to understand that the reason why people constantly put people through things, like they keep on making you a fool, is because you're so strong and you're willing to take so much. Imagine the first time somebody play with you, you just cut them off and you don't deal with them again. Okay, they gonna know not to play with you. The next time they come around you, they gonna come around you correct, or they just not gonna come at you around you at all because they know that they can't afford your energy. See, what society has taught us is that we should be humble. Society has taught us that we should continuously take bullshit from other people, continuously not think of ourselves as highly, continue to think of ourselves as less than, to continue to feel like we are too much if we show up knowing who we are and what we will and will not tolerate. Society has taught us that we think we are better than people when we think we are better than a situation. When we choose not to indulge in toxicity, society has taught us that we think we are better than, not realizing that we should feel better than a toxic a situation, because how can you thrive in toxicity? Okay, see, society has taught us not to be our true authentic selves. It taught us to play small to get along. It taught us to diminish our light, to diminish our power so that we can be tolerated by other people. Okay, but I'm here to tell you that you will continue to thrive in life. You will continue to be established. You will continue to reach the highest expression of yourself when you realize that you are like no one else on this planet. When you choose to realize that your yes is yes and your no is no. When you choose to stand on business about yourself, what you got to realize is you teach other people how to stand on business about themselves. See, because when you know what you're dealing with, you ain't got to be confused. See, God is not the author of confusion. The reason why so many people are walking around here confused because they do not know who they are. They do not know their power. They are not standing in their divinity. Because when you know who you are, okay, you know who you are not, okay? And you will not tolerate anything that go against who you are. Okay, because you realize, like, the thing about it is too, when we're talking about demons, we're talking about people who have allowed the evil spirit to house in their body, meaning they have lost their humility, they have lost their humanity. They are no longer treating people like people. Okay, they don't care about your feelings, they don't care how much they hurt you, they do not care what you think, they don't care. Only thing they care about is themselves. They came to kill, steal, and destroy. They are selfish, okay? They are selfless people who only care about what they can get. So when you are a person that knows that you are loved, you have boundaries, okay? Because you know that you are not coming in agreement with the enemy. And when you do not come in an agreement with the enemy, you remain in peace, you remain in joy, you remain in abundance. These are not things that we have to make. These are things that are afforded to us when we decide to walk in our humility, when we decide to walk in our humanity, because we become love, the highest expression that there is, authorizing in our true authenticity, which require us to create space between us and others because we have boundaries, okay? We know who we are. We know our shortcomings. We know our weaknesses. We know our blind spots. It is time for us to walk with our head held high and to understand that we know who we are and we know what we will not tolerate. And we do not have to swerve to the right or swerve to the left. If you cannot meet our standard, baby, then that means you just can't afford our energy. And it is what it is. And anybody that does want to meet the standard, they are going to rise up, because the true high vibration on this planet is love. It is the God in you. Okay, it is Christ consciousness. Okay, but in order to connect to Christ consciousness, you have to let the old self die. You have to let the lower version of you die. Okay, you can't be always being so snappy. Okay, you have to have a ability to self-regulate. You have to have an ability to understand, okay, who you are and who others are. Okay, you have to be able to have discernment. Okay, because that is what Christ consciousness is. It is the ultimate light. It is power. Okay, it is self-awareness. It is authority. That is what it is. And when you know that, you have to be able to distinguish what is not that. If you can't distinguish, okay, low vibration from high vibration, if you can't distinguish evil from good, if you cannot distinguish, okay, the enemy and demons, if you don't know a demon, then you don't have Christ consciousness, because Christ consciousness is light, okay? And at the name of Jesus, demons tremble. They tremble. Okay, anybody that can't have a conversation about Jesus and you want to get into a debate, baby, Jesus is not the author of the confusion. Okay, it's not the author of confusion. If you understand Christ consciousness, okay, if you understand what Jesus came for and you understand what the whole purpose of his legacy is, him being a role model, him being the way, the truth, and the light, and no one gets to the Father but through him. If you understand what it represents, not history and what everybody else is telling you, but the representation of what happens when you have Christ in your heart. When you understand that, then you are on a new vibration. You are on a new frequency. And you have to stand in that power. Continue to elevate your mind. Continue to right your own wrongs. Continue to self-reflect. Okay, because you're still a spiritual being having a human experience. Okay, you are human second. Spirit is first. That's what created everything. Spirit. Let me know if you got to the end of this message, okay? Truth, love, and transparency always coming from a girl. Make sure you like, make sure you repost this, and make sure you follow your girl, okay? Because we are uncommonly peculiar, okay? We are up in the world and not of the world, okay? All right, I love y'all to pieces. Peace.